Coach, a very nice win this past week over Mercer. Your passing game was very effective. Going into the game, did you figure you'd have to throw the ball as much as you ended up throwing it?
Not really. I thought that we would have an opportunity to be able to run the ball on them. They were a difficult team to run it on, and some of it dealt with we didn't identify the box, whether it was a Mike or a no Mike defense, and that created some problems as far as the combination blocks that we have to do on the zone stuff. For the most part, game plan wise, we were going against an 8 or a 9-man box, and we have the ability to throw the ball. We just like running it. We like keeping the clock going, but when you throw the football, if you take a sack, that's a negative. If you don't catch it, that's a negative. If they catch it, that's a negative. And so that being said, we knew that for us to get the run game going, that we would have to loosen them up. And so we threw the ball. Brandon threw it extremely well. Our receivers did a great job of getting open, and then offensive line and the fullbacks, they all blocked exceptionally well.
You brought up Brandon Goods and had a good day throwing the ball. He had a difficult game against the Citadel the week before. What did that tell you about the fact he bounced back as he did against Mercer, and what growth steps do you see him taking now?
Well, he's made a lot of progress every week. He's a guy that had played before, but not a tremendous amount of reps. When you're the guy, it's a different mindset. There's different pressure. When you're the guy in waiting and you're number 3, you'll be lucky to get a couple reps in mop-up. But now he's been forced to be that starter, and he's learning, he's growing, he's getting better each week, and he made a lot of wise decisions out there. He didn't put us in jeopardy as far as creating a turnover or whether it be with the ball security that he had or throwing a football and throwing it into a crowd. He did what he was supposed to do, and he did it extremely well.
2 weeks in a row now, your special teams have blocked a punt. David Howerton had a huge play against Mercer. Talk about what that play did, what he did, and what it did in terms of game momentum.
Well, it was a game changer, no doubt. Mercer had got some things going, scored a touchdown. Momentum had shifted a little bit. We were struggling a little bit from an offensive standpoint, and defensively, we came out, I think it was a 3-and-out, 4-and-out, something like that, and then ends up we had been in a hold-up phase, hoping to get Will Gay an opportunity in open space to maybe break a punt return, and they had shown a certain way that they were structured to protect, and we decided to go after it. We had come close, and we really weren't trying to rush it, and it's a clinic tape on exactly how to do it. The thing that I think helped extremely well was the fact that all the guys fit where they needed to, and then David did his part, and there's a nuance of when you know how to bend, and he did a great job of coming off the edge. He went to the bend position, stuck only one hand out. If you stick two of them out, you're going to run into the kicker, and boom, he blocked it, and then he was fortunate enough to recover it and get the touchdown. Excited for him. He's a tremendous kid, consummate team player, and I think he's Special Teams Player of the Week in the SoCon, so that's even better.
I was going to say, not bad for a guy who entered camp as your fifth-string quarterback, and I interviewed him post-game. I asked, did you ever blocked a punt? He said he hardly ever played special teams in high school.
Right. He was a quarterback, and he's a phenomenal guy. Whatever you ask him to do, he'll do it. And all he wants to do is help his teammates out. All he wants to do is be the best football player he can be, no matter what his role. You have some guys that get lost in their own self. He's a guy that's all about his teammates, and love having him on the team.
What does it say to you about your linebacking core and your recent recruiting that you can lose Michael Roach and John Patterson in the same year, and your linebackers still seem to be playing as well as ever?
It means that we've recruited some good guys in waiting. They're being coached extremely well. Coach Gasparato's doing a great job with those guys, and the whole defensive staff they've done a fantastic job. I look at the preparation that our coaches put in, whether it be offensively, defensively, or special teams. It's amazing the amount of hours that they put in, and that the kids are working hard to try to learn the game plan every week. You got to flip the page and something's new. So we're proud of the effort that they're giving, and we've got a difficult challenge with Furman, and we have to play them over there. Tough place to play, and it happens to be their homecoming, so it's going to be even more difficult.
You do get Furman this week in Greenville. You mentioned they've changed up their offense a little bit, but they still love those slip screens. They still love to throw to the tight end. So what does your defense have to be particularly good at this week?
Well, I think the big thing, you've got to be disciplined. The other thing is you've got to be quick to recognize the subtleties of the different plays. They have always done a great job with the screens. They kind of give you that false sense that, hey, I've got a chance to make a sack here, and then all of a sudden they're flipping it out there, and you've got one of those Cadillac receivers that they have, and they take it to the house. Every year that we've been over there, I know 2 years ago those screens actually beat us, and we've got to defend their passing game, their screen game out of that passing game. And then as far as rushing the football, they have a quality offensive line. They've got some outstanding backs. They've got several quarterbacks that can play at a very high level. And then their receiving core probably as good as any in the conference.
Very nice win over Mercer. I'm sure that felt good after the Citadel game. Talk about what the defense did so effectively against the Bears.
We just got the QB. Like, we were determined to take away their run and then make them one-dimensional. And in doing so, we got to get out the QB and don't let them throw like teams have in the past on us. So that's the difference, I would say, this year versus previous years, that when we take away the run, we can also take away the pass by getting after the QB, from outside linebackers to the nose to the three tech. It's to every position on the front five. We either side, you got pressure coming. So you got the cornerbacks playing great. So if I tell my guys all the time, say, give us at least 2 seconds. That's all you got to cover for 2 seconds. Then if nobody's back there, then y'all will probably have an opportunity to make a pick, like you seen with Jaleel and Dylan. Or if not, then 9 times out of 10, the QB is probably going to be on the ground.
You talk about the secondary, the cornerbacks. That area has improved for the defense this year. What does that do for you guys up front?
It makes our life a whole lot easier. Like, we know that since our corners can cover and they're going to do their job, we only have to focus on making sure the QB don't beat us, that is, getting out of the pocket and scrambling and getting extra yard, that we can keep them condensed. Then our chances of getting a sack is pretty high, coming off the edge or interiorly flushing them inside for the big boys to get them inside. So as long as our cornerbacks can keep the pass game defended, it increases our chances of getting sacks and having a great day.
Talking with Wofford linebacker Terrance Morris. All right, 2 years ago you played at Furman. They beat Wofford. They hit a couple of screen passes for big yards. What's the key when you play these guys?
Recognize the offensive line pass sets. Like when they're bailing out and you have a clear path to go hit the quarterback, something's got to be up. Like, and then when they cut us, just getting our hands up because you know the string's coming when they cut us. So just recognizing different blocks and understanding that getting to the QB, if it's a little easier than what it normally is, then it's probably a screen pass. Or if they're cutting it immediately, then it's probably a screen pass as well. And I guess going back in my sophomore year, looking at that, like I was seeing myself personally play the cut block and like not getting my hands up and the ball going right over my helmet. And I was like, dang, if I just would have jumped, I could have probably deflected the ball and one of my teammates could have caught it, could have had another turnover. So that's going to be the big difference this year versus last year. We're going to recognize these blocks, and we're going to play a better game than what we have in the past.
Nick, senior season, club is 5-3. What differences do you see between this year's team and last year's team?
This year's team, I believe, has a lot more camaraderie. I think the reasons that we're playing are a lot different. I feel like each player is playing for each other rather than selfish reasons. I feel like previous years we had guys on the team that were playing to pat the stats and get the touchdowns. And it's more of like I'd rather get the touchdown block for Lennox than me run it kind of thing. Like it's more for the well-being of the team.
What's it been like for this offense? You start camp with Evan Jacks as the starting quarterback. He never makes it to game one with the knee injury, and then you get into the season and Brad Butler gets hurt, and unfortunately his season ends. What has it been like trying to adjust from quarterback to quarterback to quarterback?
Well, it hasn't been that big of an adjustment. Brandon, they say we're down to our third-string quarterback. Brandon's not a third-string quarterback. He's awesome. Anywhere else he would have been the first guy. It hurts not having Brad and Evan. They're great quarterbacks, but having Brandon in there, they all have different aspects that make themselves good quarterbacks. But having Brandon in there really isn't that much different. So he's really good.
With all the quarterbacks going down and you having played quarterback in high school, at any point did they say, "Hey, you may have to take some snaps at some point"?
I was actually thinking about that when Brad and Evan went down. They were left with Joe and Brandon and David, and so that left the possibility open for a fourth string. And Coach Lang actually approached me the other day and had me taking snaps with Bradley and Rue. I actually got in on scout team reps and threw my first pass in college career. Completed it 1-for-1, 100% completion rate. But yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Mic drop after the pass, right?
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Took the helmet off, walked to the locker room.
What, as a senior now with the program, when you look back at what you've accomplished here, what you've done, what has been the most satisfying part about playing football here and then coming here as a student?
The most satisfying part, probably the relationships that I've built. Like the relationships that I've built is probably, you can tell that they're going to be lifelong. Like my buddies that I hang out with all the time, you can tell we're going to stay in touch. Set me up career-wise, what I want to do. Made awesome connections. Actually just got an interview at UNC Dental School because of a guy that had his son play football here at Wofford. And so like just a numerous amount of opportunities like that Wofford has given to me.